Well, it's time for a what am I sowing and growing video, and this one is for December, but there's no sowing bit because right now not really planning on sowing anything this December apart from just a few germination tests of some of the peppers, some of the older pepper packets and things that I've got. So I might put just a few peppers in, as I say, about the middle of December, something like that, so that I've tested germination and I know what's working and what's not by the time I get to January, which is when I really start my peppers. In fact, this year I changed my peppers a little bit, or next year I'm changing my peppers a bit, so that I stagger the sowings. So I'm going to do some in January, some in February, and some at the end of February, so that I get a nice smooth harvest period all the way through summer and autumn, rather than what I've had in previous years, and less so this year, a sort of bit of a boom and bust harvest cycle. So that'll be nice, and I'll still have some peppers in the greenhouse, but not very many. Most of them will stay on the allotment under my low tunnels, and that works really nicely, and it's nicely proven over many years. So other than that, I normally sow a few things in December because I have the odd failure, but this year everything's looking pretty good, so I don't really need to sow anything. You know, December isn't a great time to sow anything anyway, so yeah, it's just going to be nice to not have anything sowing, to max out my growing space. And I've got a lot of things growing at the moment, and they're all kind of targeted for that really difficult period of the year, which is sort of middle of December through to about the beginning of February, but for some crops it's the middle of February. That's a hard period for everything to grow without a little bit of extra grow light time, especially in this greenhouse because it's very shaded by those houses at the back there. So without grow lights, this greenhouse would effectively be in permanent shade, apart from kind of probably from about 2 o'clock to about 4 o'clock. So 2 hours of sunlight a day, which is not very much. But with a little bit of extra grow light time, everything does pretty well. And the things in the polytunnel are doing really lovely. I've just got a quick shot of the polytunnel I can show you. So there's a lot growing there, and quite a few bits have been brought back here, which I'll go through as well, which will go under grow lights for just a couple of weeks, and then they'll be ready for harvest. So I'm doing a lot of that this year, growing a lot of stuff in the polytunnel in containers, and then just bringing it in as I need it. But I'll blast it for 2 weeks with grow lights in the house because it needs the heat. There's not enough heat in here for a lot of things, and that's it. So it's very, very cost effective because 2 weeks grow light time is not very much in monetary terms, certainly a lot less than the value of the crop. So let me take you through what we've got in here, and I'll start probably with the oldest stuff, which is these old tomatoes. They're still ticking along. I do keep this greenhouse just frost free at this time of year, which is not very hard because we haven't had that many frosts. I think we've probably had about 4 or 5. I think the worst got down to about -5, something like that. That night probably cost me about £1 to keep this greenhouse frost free, but then that's only 1 punnet's worth of tomatoes, which I'm getting sort of every day. So yeah, it's easily justified, and most of the time there's no heating at all going on in here because it's above zero. So yeah, these honeycomb and sun gold pretty much finished. There's like 6 or 7 fruits on those a week. Hardly worth the effort really at this time of year. Whereas the tumbling tom yellows are still great. I mean, there's loads of them on here. We're still picking a handful a day. Same really with the red profusion. They're not the sweetest tasting tomatoes really at this time of year, but it's still nice to have homegrown ones, and we'll switch over to shop bought ones in January. So that's the tomatoes. I'll be pleased to have them out, get a bit more light in here, and I won't be putting anything in these hanging baskets then until I put tomatoes in them again, probably about the beginning of April time, something like that, so I can harvest them about June time. And yeah, so other than that, up on the shelves, mainly got my overwintered brassicas. I'll start at that end if I can see what I've got. I've got peas to go into containers for an early crop, and I'm not doing Meteor this year. I've over the years, I'm not very happy with Meteor, to be honest. It's not the nicest pea. I'm switching to Sugar Snaps and Oregon Sugar Pod peas, which are just, they're a couple of weeks later, but they taste so much better. So it's worth just waiting that couple of weeks for me. And then I've got spring cabbages. I haven't got any spring cabbages in the ground yet. I've got all my spring cabbages still in pots, but they soon catch up. So, you know, all my beds are all full on the allotment, so I haven't got any space to put any spring cabbages. And then I've got all my cauliflowers and Calabrese and Romanesco cauliflowers up there. Then I've got some more Calabrese, another succession there of Calabrese and cauliflowers and Romanesco cauliflowers there. So I've got 3 successions on the go, and I've got some more cabbages up there as well. So quite a really lovely range of brassicas, which we will be harvesting all through sort of April and May time, the hungry gap, and then I'll start eating cabbages that I'll sow in January, mini Savoys, things like that. And then I'll switch over to the red cabbages, which I've got here, and some more down there. Actually, I forgot about those. Some more Calabrese and cauliflowers and red cabbages and spring cabbages and things down there. Yeah, so masses and masses of stuff for the hungry gap. Masses of stuff in the ground at the moment, of course. Yeah, then we're into summer. And, I don't think I'm going to be talking anything about summer this time of year, other than that's when these early red cabbages are ready. So they kind of start harvesting the earliest of the red cabbages in June, and then most of them in July and August, and then we're on to the cabbages that we sow in March. Right, so down a level, all these. So I've got, yeah, so let's just quickly look at the lettuces that I've just brought from the allotment. So these have been in the polytunnel for a few weeks. They've grown quite well, but they're not going to grow much at all now in the polytunnel. So I've brought them in here. They're actually going to go in the house under grow lights for a couple of weeks, as I say. So we'll be eating these at Christmas. So lovely high quality lettuces for Christmas, and lots of lovely varieties, all beautiful sort of spring and summer varieties there. And then I've got some radishes for Christmas. So again, these will go under grow lights, and again, we'll be harvesting those sort of around the Christmas period. And then lots of spinach. So I've got some spinach there that's not under grow lights at the moment, which might go back to the allotment, might go under grow lights, I'm not sure. But we've got loads of spinach at the moment actually on the allotment, so I'm not really harvesting very much. So again, most of this spinach is for salads for the Christmas and sort of January period, and it's all looking quite nice. I've started harvesting a few leaves off here, and you know, when it's foul weather, it's nice to be able to just harvest from the greenhouse. And then down at that end, I've got tatsoi, which is looking really beautiful. I've harvested quite a bit of that, although I've got quite a lot of tatsoi on the allotment as well. But that is nicer in salads than the stuff that I've got in the beds, which is just fine for cooking and giveaway salads. But for the ones I'm eating, those are beautiful. And then I've got red stem pak choi as well there, and that is really excellent. And that'll go to seed pretty soon. I've got loads more red stem pak choi on the allotment that's all planted. So that'll be fine. And then I've got a few strawberries, which I'm growing for my second early crop. They're Malin Century. And I've just got those as bare roots. I've just popped them in, and I've just left them in the greenhouse for about 10 days just to start getting established, put on a little bit of root growth before I move them outside, because strawberries really need to be kept cold until you start forcing them, and I won't start forcing those until well into February. So they're not my earliest ones. The earliest ones are already out there getting some cold, and And after about 2 months of really nice cold weather, which we're having at the moment, they should be ready for forcing sort of the beginning of February. And then what else have I got? I've got 2 beds coming ready for planting right now on the allotment. They've currently got autumn lettuces in them. They're all finishing now. And some of them have got a little bit of salad rocket. Yeah, so all those are coming out, and in their place are going these lettuces here, some of those anyway, those lettuces there, and the spinach that's down there, and the red stem pak choy that's down there, and the tatsoi that's down there. So that's 2 beds in each bed's got 2 meters squared, so 4 different crops, and we'll be harvesting those towards the end of March, early April, something like that, and it gives me a nice continuous supply all the way through the year. And then here I've got baby beetroot leaves, which are really again like in the salad mixes, and right now I'm picking all my baby beetroot leaves off the allotment and they're doing great, but again get to the middle of December through to, as I said, sort of the middle of February, end of February, no, so middle of February, beginning of February, depending on the weather. These will sort of take over. Right now they're just kind of in a holding pattern because it's a bit cold in the greenhouse, but there's enough light to keep them healthy, and then they will also move into the house for 2 weeks of grow lights, and then they'll be ready for harvest. So that's the sort of consistent story here. Try and keep everything on the allotment in the polytunnel, which gets much more sun than the greenhouse does. Bring it in here when it gets really cold, just to keep it frost free, although it will survive in the greenhouse with a bit of frost, but it does better in the greenhouse frost free. Keep it ticking over for a while, then take it into the house, blast it with grow lights just for a short period of time, and then pick it. And the only thing that doesn't really need that can cope with the cold and the low light levels in the greenhouse is the spinach and the Asian greens and the tatsoi, and they still get a bit of grow light time, a couple of hours, 4 hours a day of grow light time, but that's enough. So even with the shade during the day and the cold nights, you know, just frost-free nights, they all do beautifully. But lettuces don't do as well, baby beetroot doesn't do as well, radishes don't do anything at all unless they're in a warmer environment like the house with grow lights. So I think I probably rambled on enough now, really. So if you've got any questions, do ask them down in the description below. Just down below. And I do have a newsletter, weekly newsletter, that kind of goes through all the nitty-gritty bits and pieces, as well as the sort of big picture, context, and why I do what I do, and all that sort of thing. And you can subscribe to that at steverichards.substack.com, and there's a link down in the description you can find to that. So my name's Steve, this is the Outgrow channel, and I'll see you soon.